if you would love to support us, we have just released brand new Gunz and Bunz merch. Yes, I have merch, ladies and gentlemen. But we have things from like t-shirts, stickers. We have
cute little visor.
Rash guards. Yeah, I got a visor. Maybe I'll sport it on the show sometime. But we've got a lot of cute merch for Gunz and Bunz. But you can find that at gunzandrollz.com. And then finally, I would love to invite you to just share this podcast with someone that you think would like it. And if you could subscribe to Gunz and Rollz, you'll get to see more Gunz and Bunz episodes like this one.
Welcome to Gunz and Bunz. Strong, fearless, unstoppable. Let's roll. Welcome to Gunz and Bunz. Strong, fearless, unstoppable. Let's roll.
Welcome to Gunz and Bunz, a podcast that celebrates strong, successful women. Please like and subscribe to our Gunz and Rollz fitness channel to see more episodes like this one. Today, I would like to welcome my friend, coach, and guest, Brittney Spencer. Hi, Brittney.
Hello.
Brittney is a wife of 9.5 years. She is a mom of 2 girls, ages 4 and 2. Brittney is an information security professional with a bachelor's in corporate communications from the College of Charleston. She has a master's in intelligence studies and an associate's in intelligence operations. Brittney served as an intelligence analyst for the United States Army for 4 years, where she was primarily stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska. For the last 10 years, Brittney has been working in corporate banking, where she holds roles in physical security, insider threat, and now as a business information security officer. Brittney is a children's author, and her book, How Lucky Am I, was published in 2022. She has been training in Jiu Jitsu since 2018. She has taken breaks here and there for various reasons, but received her purple belt in July 2024. And I was there, and it was an emotional moment. It was amazing. Brittney has been the women's Jiu Jitsu coach at Triumph Fight Academy for 1 year, this being one of her biggest accomplishments. She loves giving back to the community through volunteering. Finally, Brittney loves television, tea, sports, Alabama football, and last but not least, spending time with her beautiful family. Welcome again, Brittney.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here, girl. So we're going to start today by having you just kind of give us a little bit of your background. So like, where did you grow up and how has that maybe shaped who you are today?
Absolutely. So I'm actually from Spartanburg, South Carolina, so upstate South Carolina. I grew up on like a small farm. Yeah, and so very early on, hard work was always a theme. Mm-hmm. My grandparents were very big on doing your best. Mm-hmm. And so that was very early on, had a high standard for working, and failure was very rarely an option. I would say around 10, my dad did pass away. And so from there, we did move away from the farm, but I had a fantastic mom and a sister, and we became a little tribe. Yeah. And so, but again, I do think not wanting to fail or disappoint people in any way will be a constant theme, I believe, for this conversation today.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and I get that very much so, very deeply to my core. Yeah. So is your sister younger, older?
I have a younger sister, but she's only younger than me by 18 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so she's my younger sister, but she is my best friend. Mm-hmm. And so we talk every day. Mm-hmm. I always tell my mom, to this day, the best gift you ever gave me was a little sister, for sure.
That. I love that. That's so awesome. Is your mom still in the Spartanburg area?
Yep. So my mom's still in Spartanburg. My sister's on like the outskirts of Atlanta. Okay. But we still talk every day. They still drive me crazy. And we do make it a priority to get together as much as we can. My sister has 2 girls, so we love when the family can get together and kind of spend some quality time.
I love that. And grandparents still alive? And
so my grandma that I grew up with on the farm and grandpa, they both have passed away. And my mom's mom has dementia, but she's still with us. She's a fighter, and she just celebrated her 90th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
awesome.
we all got together and celebrated with her. So she's a fighter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Going back to that farm, I'm interested. Is it like animals?
No
Is it
animals.
crops? It's like, so,
Everybody always says that. Like,
Okay.
oh, you have animals. You didn't have animals. Produce mainly. Watermelon, peaches, okra. But no animals. No animals. Just all produce.
So do you have a garden nowadays? Because you were good at
I don't have a garden. I need to start a garden.
Yeah, you probably are
They're
well
probably
equipped.
super disappointed in me that I'm not doing that. But no garden. But we'll put that on my bucket list of things to do for sure.
Okay. Aw. So would you mind maybe elaborating a little bit? You said your dad passed away. You were 10?
I was 10. Yep. So to this day, I really don't know maybe what he was battling, but he did take his own life.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm not sure. I think the older I get and the more I see life and understand what maybe burdens and life experience could shape someone as an adult, I start to understand him a bit more. As a child, you don't have the capacity to understand, right? And it's easy to maybe think he did this because of me, or maybe I'm not enough, or I don't know, the various things maybe kids would think in some type of trauma situation. But my mom was fantastic. My family was fantastic. And I really did not experience a lot of impact from that. Of course, it was a loss, right?
Yeah.
He was in the household and my mom was married, and it was just an unexpected thing to happen. But we were surrounded in love and prayer.
Yeah.
And so we're a very religious family.
Yeah.
And so I believe that God just brought us through it, in all honesty.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the faith I know is important to you. And I wondered if that has been a cornerstone, and maybe that's also why to this day it's really important to you. Like,
It is.
Just going through something so horrific like that.
Yeah. And it was, I think in the moment, I just couldn't process it. You're 10, you know, you have a parent there one day and the next day you don't. And then I kind of went through a period of like anger. Like, why would you leave my mom? Right? It's not even about me. And then, but you get older. You get older and you understand anxiety. You understand the pressures of life, and not everybody is equipped to handle day-to-day struggles. And I think I'm way more aware of people's backgrounds and not being judgmental and having empathy. All of that was, honestly, my compassion came from my dad.
Right. I was wondering, do you use that as kind of like an opening to help others? Have you ever used that to kind of, I mean, have you met other people maybe going through something similar? Like,
I have.
Sometimes I feel we're brought through to kind of
Help
help others. Or
maybe
others.
not directly.
Yeah.
Right? But indirectly, in the sense of, I try my best to show up for people wherever they're at. Right? I try to be a person that's very intentional with my relationships, with my friendships, with people that I meet on the mat, because you really don't know what someone is struggling with, which is the beauty of a community of like Jiu Jitsu and a gym, right? It's a place where oftentimes people are coming in to escape. And the last thing I want to do is be a burden or not be uplifting or have my work day rub off on that person. So yeah, it made me more mindful very early on that I am very unaware of the baggage people are carrying day to day.
Right. How old would he have been at that point? I'm just curious.
32, 33.
Yeah. Okay. And I, as a mom, like in the busy grind every day and going through all the things we go through, and I have a beautiful life. Don't get me wrong. Like, things are wonderful, but then there can be sometimes just the heaviness of life because you're always on the go or always so busy or always inundated with all the things that I could see how like people get bogged down. Like I always tell the kids too, though, like going back to the faith concept, like, and I was raised this way too. Like, don't ever let your despair or like your, like you have bad days, right? Like don't ever let it, like know that your hope rests in God, right? And so like I use that as my firm foundation, right? And it sounds like too, like faith has been that for you. I love that. Let's go back to kind of where you were at that point. So you said a little bit after that you had some anger a little bit. For sure. How would you say, what type of student were you? What type of child were you? Maybe even to teenage years? Like how would you kind of define yourself that time period?
Oh no, I was very like type A, but I didn't want to disappoint my mom, right? And so my anger was very targeted. But as a child, I didn't want to add to her plate at all, right? And so for me, it was like she lost her dad at a young age, and then she lost a child, 2 kids. And so for me, so my brother, so my mom's first child was a preemie, and my sister was a twin. Yes, and so for me, I felt very protective over my mom. Because in no way did I felt like she deserved any of this. I'm biased, but I think my mom's amazing.
Well, you're amazing, so I bet she is.
And so I didn't want to add as a teenager, as an adult. I didn't want to be another thing in her life that she needed to worry about. So I had really good grades. To this day, like I've never smoked, I never drank. I don't do things like that. All because I didn't want to add anything to her.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so great. So then we end up finding ourselves in college, right? So tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into like this major that like it was corporate communications? Did you go into that with this intent you were going to be in the Army? Like,
nope.
What happened? What order did that come in?
So, I've always loved the beach. And so for me, I was like, well, obviously College of Charleston. Yeah. And so I actually was pre-med. So I went down there to be an orthodontist. I learned very quickly that was not the path God wanted for me.
That's cute.
And so I kind of backtracked. And so I took the corporate comm route, and I got very involved in nonprofits. So Ronald McDonald House, United Way, again, just wanting to give back and help people in a way that maybe I didn't feel that I got or my mom got, coming through different traumatic experiences. And then I got out into the real world, and I learned very quickly that I got to do more. So I graduated and then went into the Army. So I went into the Army. I did Intel. I love the Army. The Army was great. I think everybody should.
Have some experience.
Have some type of experience. Just because the friends that I made, it was just a beautiful experience.
Wonderful. And you were active. So
I was active duty.
Okay.
Active duty, stationed in Alaska. Wow. And then I got out of the Army. I got out of the Army and then became a civilian, and navigating that was interesting, but still pretty type A, and still wanting to, in many ways, make my mom proud. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so then you got into the corporate banking.
I did.
And I mean, I bet you can't talk too much about that. It's security, right? Information security, but is that a fun job? Do you like it?
It is. It's interesting. It's interesting. And so, and I didn't learn a lot of this in the Army. A lot of what I do now kind of evolved. I like to joke that I'm just, what you see in front of you is more so a sum of answered prayers. So I got into Intel at first with the bank, and transitioned to corporate security and managing critical facilities, and then insider threat, and now more so information security. So think preventing data breaches, really protecting one's confidential data.
Is that a remote position? Or do you
No, I have
report
to go
somewhere?
into the office.
I was gonna say.
I do go into the office.
Okay. I was gonna say from home. I don't know
Yeah,
how that pans
you
out.
could do it from home, but yeah, I
Yeah.
do go into the office.
Okay, awesome. And then, I mean, I feel like we're cruising through this pretty quickly, but so then let's talk a little bit about being a children's author. But I think before we get there, though, because I feel like this kind of stems from like your children, right? So let's back up. Let's slow down. Let's go back. So do you want to talk a little bit about your wife, Iman, and your beautiful family that you have?
I would love to. So, while in Charleston, I met Iman, and she is everything that I am not. So she is super fun, super high energy.
Yes.
And yeah, we were married in 2015 after I got out of the Army, and we were solo. We were super aunts, right? And so we really enjoyed just for it just to be us. And then it got to that point where it's like, now or never. We're going to have kids or we're just going to be the cool aunts on the block. And we decided to have kids. And that was not as easy as I thought it would be. Yeah. I was a bit naive, I would say.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Yeah.
I don't, so if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, we had to get a lot of fertility treatment.
Okay.
And so I had ended up doing 3 rounds of IVF.
Okay.
And we got our first daughter, Shiloh. And that's where the book came from. And the title of the book, How Lucky Am I, was really me. It's like my love note to her, right? Because at a certain point, I did not think it was going to be possible. And so in a way, I kind of gave up. I was just like, this is just not for us. And that's fine, right? But I always wanted to be a mom. I love kids. And I would say that 3rd round of IVF, I went into it with no expectations. I was at peace with it. I wear this bracelet all the time, and it's my favorite Bible verse. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." And that's what I did that final round. So I was just like, if it's meant to be, it will be. Yeah. And I was still, and it worked out. And so we got Shiloh, and she is beautiful and full of life and super smart, right? And soon after that, it didn't take too long for me to realize, and this kind of goes back to my sister, and we're only 18 months apart. I said, Shiloh needs a sibling. Yep. She definitely needs somebody to go through life with. Yep. And for me and my sister, there's nobody else on the planet that's going to understand how I grew up besides my sister. And I wanted Shiloh to have that. And so we did IUI, and we got Eden. And she is the boss of the house, boss baby.
I've seen some video of the two of them doing their own Jiu Jitsu, and Eden is like dominating.
Yes,
she's so funny.
She's gonna be a little wrestler, I think. But so yeah, she's my baby for sure.
It seems like Shiloh though is like you were saying, like she's just so sweet, and like maybe she, big sister. Yes. She's probably protective. So
she's
anyway,
super protective, but she's so kind. Oh. She's so kind. She wants to help her with everything. She wants to brush her teeth. Yeah. And Eden's just blazing her own trail. And so I do owe Eden a book.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
You
I
do.
owe her a book.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Shiloh was that we were in that IVF journey for so long that you really have time to sort your feelings. And Eden was first try IUI. Okay. And so for this one, I really want to get to know her and her personality. Yep. So when I write her very own love note, it captures her truly.
Yeah, it's so cute because if anyone knows Shiloh and Eden, Shiloh is Brittney.
Yes.
She is your spitting image of you. And Eden is Iman.
She is, for
sure.
And
it sounds like the personality.
Yes, it is.
It's so fitting for both of them. That is interesting. Lucky. Wow. I have an ignorant question. What's the difference between IVF and IUI? I don't really even know.
So in vitro is out of, so they remove the embryo. Okay. And then fertilize it and then put it back. Okay. And then IUI is just insemination.
Oh, okay. And so that was a little more, the second time was
IUI
much faster.
was a little bit, much faster, less invasive.
Okay.
But still medication, the whole nine, still wondering, did this work?
Yeah.
Right? And so I learned a lot about fertility and quickly learned that is something that I don't think women talk about as much, struggles with pregnancy or the desire to want a family or the desire to not want a family. These are conversations that I just didn't know people were having.
Right.
And quickly learned.
I apologize if you already said this. How long of a time frame? You said 3 rounds, but like how long of a time frame is that?
Maybe 2 years.
Wow. So 2 years of waiting.
Pretty much.
So you really did have to be still. I get that.
Be still.
And I mean, in a situation like that, I mean, I just know myself, and God knew I couldn't handle it. You definitely have to guard your heart in a situation like that, right? There's probably some times where you maybe get your hopes up and then you get them crushed, basically. Yeah. Like I know in my family, my sister, they had to adopt, and they were doing the whole foster care system for a bit. Like they'd get a kid with hopes of adopting that child, and then it would fall through. And that happened so many times. And I just remember thinking and praying on her behalf, like you just really have to, like, because your heart is open and wanting, and to have that kind of taken away from you, that has to be devastating. So, wow, I applaud you for that. That's a lot. Do you think you'll get those little cuties into jiu-jitsu?
Absolutely.
I mean, we have to talk about jiu-jitsu.
100%.
So Shiloh's 4. So the earliest, I mean, she could do.
Yeah, she's already did a couple of classes.
She has in the cage,
in the cage. Yep, she loves it. We moved. And so I had to pull her out because life got chaotic with that. But she talks about it all the time. And so she will be going back. And then I think we have to wait a little bit for Eden. But I might skip it and put her in wrestling first.
Yeah?
I might do that.
So
she's ready for it.
She's so cute. Oh, my goodness. Going back to the book idea, because you had mentioned you'll have to write one for Eden as well. Did you want to plug anything on social media? Because I know you have, like... You had a social media account for the writing, right?
Yep, I still have that at B Spencer Stories.
Okay.
And the book's still there.
Yeah.
But and people will say, Brittney, why don't you promote this so much?
Your book. Yeah.
It was a passion project, right? And so for me, again, kind of going back to being intentional, it wasn't really about the world seeing the book or making some huge profit off of the book. My first thought was when Shiloh gets older, she has her own kid, she can read that book to her daughter. And for that to be full circle, that's the win. That was the beauty in it for me, to have something that's going to be public that will outlive me, to capture our journey. And so I do want to give that to Eden as well.
That's awesome. It's like a labor of love. Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's so awesome. So is it on like certain places though that people could check it out? Yeah. Could you find it even on Amazon?
Yep. It's on Amazon, Brittney. Like Barnes and Nobles. Yep. I self-published. So it's all out there.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on over to jiu-jitsu, talking about that, because I mean, it comes up and it's a big part of our podcast in the sense of being strong. The premise is strong, successful women. And that was kind of what intrigued us to even do this podcast, was the women in jiu-jitsu. And I can speak on behalf of Brittney. She's amazing. She's been doing the women's program for the past year. We had another coach, and then Brittney stepped up and took over. And, it's just been, you've been so great. Like, you have taught things in ways that just clicked, made sense. Like, I've seen it in other ways. And then you put your Brittney spin on it. And it is like, wow, that's really cool. I never thought I could do that. So let's talk a little bit about your jiu-jitsu journey, why you started, how you started, and then we'll move on into the coaching piece.
Yeah. So when I got out of the Army, I was still kind of looking and missing the camaraderie piece. And so I tried to just do like become a gym rat. And there was just no one else, right? Nobody to hold me accountable, nobody to motivate me. And more importantly, I didn't have anybody to show up for. So it's one thing when you're just showing up for yourself. It's completely different when you start to feel bad about, is she going to have a partner on the mat? And so just kind of randomly riding around one day, stumbled upon the gym.
This was the old location?
This is the old location, Indian Land MMA.
Yeah.
And it was like self-defense. They had a couple of like gi classes. No gi was not offered at the time. And so I only did gi for maybe the first 2 years or so. And there was different women that came in and out at the gym, but there was several times I looked up and it was just me and the guys. And I'm so grateful for that group. We have amazing guys at the gym. I can't shout them out enough because in a culture to where sometimes you might be uncomfortable, they made me so welcomed. Everybody rolled with me. They included me on all of the things. And so, yeah, and it was just been nice to see how the gym has grown and evolved, but it gave me that community. It gave me the community aspect, and it gave me a family of sorts outside of my little family that I was about to create at home.
You want to name drop some of those guys? Or they, I mean, they're still at the gym?
They're still at the gym.
I mean, we got to shout them out.
Avery and Renard and the Chris's. All of those guys were huge. David, we call him Big David and Little David, but both Davids for sure were never afraid to give me any type of feedback or just treat me like everybody else. They gave me a hard time. They picked on me. They coached me. They called me. They encouraged me. They did it all, right? And then when we started to get, oddly enough, their wives and more ladies to come into the gym, I really wanted to be that for other people. And so I think that's naturally how the coaching began. And maybe that's why I'd still consider that to be my biggest accomplishment. Because I wanted to create that same welcome that those guys gave me for those that came after me.
You have such a calming presence too. Like when you're teaching, I feel like when I'm teaching, I'm like gasping because I'm like, I'm like trying to move through the moves with them or walk them through it. And I feel like I have so much to say and I talk fast and you're just so chill. And I mean, there's just something about you. I think people gravitate toward you when they're new. I see these new like young kids come in, like young girls, and you're always there in the corner, just kind of walking them through it. And you're just so chill. And that's awesome. I feel like it just bodes nicely for that sport, right? In a sport where you're like, what do I do next? And you're so like frantic maybe when you're a beginner because you don't know the next move. You're just that little calm sense.
And I think it's also important to kind of establish that the second someone walks through the door, being at the gym for so long, I cannot count how many people came and left. I don't remember names. I still struggle with names. We have so many members. I really still struggle with names, but especially for the women, right? I want to make sure that if they don't want to roll with the guys, that I'm available. If they're sitting off to themselves, I want to know why. I want them to feel like they have a safe space. And if I'm not there, call me. I'll come. I'm not. There's a couple of days that I try to take off and make it family time. But if someone says, hey, I'm coming to the gym, will you show up? I'm going to do my best to show up.
I have a couple of other questions. I'm trying to think which order I want to go in because I don't want to forget. But one thing I was going to say is like, you've always been like there, right? In my few years I've been at the gym. I feel like you're typically there most days of the week, right? And what I've loved to see about you is even since you started coaching the women, a few months ago when we did the New Breed tournament, there were a lot of new competitors, some of our new white belt women. And it was cool to see you in your coaching element, like to actually see you in the coaching chair. And like you owned it. You owned that group of women. And I just thought that was so cool because I mean, I've seen you help, you've helped me, you've helped so many other women in the regular like adult class. But to see you kind of like step back, guys. This is my platform. These are my girls that come to my class. I'm going to,
Yeah.
be there for them. I just thought that was really cool to see you.
Yeah, and
do
I
that.
take it personally.
Yeah.
And again, something that I've probably done my whole life, right? And so to see, especially some of the ones that competed for the first time, even things that I felt like, Brittney, you didn't teach her that. Oh, I saw her get stuck in this triangle. Did I really cover that for them? And so, yes, I was so happy to see everyone win. But I went home and I was pretty upset. I was like, they could have did better. I didn't show them this.
Yeah.
I started kind of worrying, am I teaching them just my game, right? Am I limiting them in some aspect because I suck at this? Am I creating a space to where now they're going to suck at this? And I was getting really in my head about it. And so, I'm like, okay, well, let's step back. I got to take my ego out of coaching.
Yeah.
Right? If I am not the best at takedowns, we might need to bring somebody in. If I struggle with leg and feet things, and if that's not my jam, I might need to call someone up, right? And so if you're looking at the women's page and you see a guest or there's a guy, little David, thank you. These are people that are supporting the program, right? That's my way of saying, I know I'm not the best, but I want you to have the best. I want you to have all of the tools and the skills that you need to succeed beyond me.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like you have mentors? Like you said, like you brought in David and he taught like Jars, and then you brought in Ryan Camp for like wrestling and doing takedowns, and then like I know probably Avery and you have conversations about like what you're going to be teaching. How do you kind of, that also leads me into like, how do you lesson plan for the women's class?
I like to ask the women directly, right? So I'm very big on gauging the rooms. It is a free class. However, the ones that are consistent, I want to make sure that I am mindful that they're showing up. The people that are showing up week after week, what opportunities do you need? What do you want to work on? I am there for that group. I don't feel like it's my class. I can say that I lead the program, but it's for everyone. So if we have a competition coming up, then I want to make sure we're prepared for the competition. It's going to be competition style. It's going to be that type of session. If we went to the competition and everybody was getting caught in triangles, let's break this down. Like, why did we get caught in triangles? It's collaborative. I don't believe that anything can grow if egos are present, right? You need to make sure voices are heard. You need to make sure everybody has input. And I try my best in class to say, hey, is there anything else to add? I'm very big on saying, this is just how I do it. This is not the only way to do it. And I'll continue to do that. It's a class for women. It's not a class for Brittney. And so I try to step away to see what's needed.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. Like, you're very good about like, did I miss anything? You like bring us all in so we can kind of like give input as well. Because again, if like I receive something a specific way, maybe it's different from your perspective and vice versa. So I think that's really important. I did want to point out that you mentioned it is a free class.
It is a free
ladies,
class.
Anyone that's listening. So you're missing out on a really excellent opportunity to train. And then maybe you might just end up wanting to become a member. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, it's been really awesome to kind of see that program. We've had a lot of consistency with the women that have been coming. Now we need to make some of them just make that jump over to the other side.
They do.
But yeah, and it's no gi. We typically do no gi.
We do.
There was that short moment.
We did a short moment for gi for pans.
Yes.
And so again, that's what I mean. If there is a need, we will adjust to make sure we're addressing the need. And at that time, we had a lot of ladies going to compans, and they crushed it.
Yeah, tell what happened. I think we spoke about it previously on this, but
they pretty much dominated, and I love that. And that's another beauty of the class, right? You have people that can go out there and win pants and get gold and not have a point scored on them.
Yeah.
And you have people that are showing up for them and their own personal self-care or mental health. And we all come together for that goal of working out together. So I love that.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see them all kind of evolve too, because I know in competition, and you know too, you've competed, but like in competition, you sometimes leading up to a competition can get really frantic, all of a sudden doubt yourself.
Yep.
And I feel like some of them might have gone through those feelings, but like you being a calming voice there, like, no, we're going to work on this, I think is really important too. And then I also wanted to go back to what you touched on about the coaching aspect. I didn't think of it that way, but as a coach, when you're watching someone on the mat, it's just like a teacher to a student, right? Like, how did I mess up, or what holes did I have in my instruction that maybe the lesson didn't connect with them?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is a little tricky with that though, because there's,
Yeah.
you know, I think body types play into it too, like how someone receives a message when you're showing a move, or their maybe even capability, like what their body's able to do. Trying to think, there's so many different aspects to jiu-jitsu, and then even the memory
variables.
of it. Yeah.
There's so many variables. And then there's a lot of small details.
Yes.
To see someone execute something and I'm calling it out.
Yeah.
And I thought, I didn't teach that.
Yeah.
I didn't teach that. And then I don't want them to be disappointed.
Right.
Right. And so I took their loss harder probably than they did. And I was more nervous in the coach's chair than I ever was competing.
Wow.
And so it was different. It was very different. It was very personal. It shouldn't have been, but it was. But I think that's just only going to help me grow and develop more.
Yeah, absolutely. Your jiu-jitsu game, is that what you mean by that, or just as a coach?
Well, as
Both.
a coach, but yeah, but both, because now it's going to motivate me to go out and learn things that I probably was avoiding.
Yeah.
I'm very stuck in my ways. And before it was easy to say, like, oh, I don't want to learn that. That's not my game.
Yeah.
And I can dismiss it. But then what happens when you're coaching someone and that is their game?
That is their game. Yeah. You don't want to hinder them or hold them
No,
back.
absolutely not. And so now I need to learn this. Now I need to bother Avery. Hey, Avery, can you show me this? And he probably already showed me. And I just wasn't listening, but I'm going to listen now. So that way I can take it back to the women's class and show those people and show my ladies, like, hey, this is another option.
Yeah.
This is another option.
Yeah. When Ashley was on, she spoke about, she goes, he doesn't say it enough. She's like, but Avery is so proud of the women's program and how it's grown. And he's just proud of that whole entire thing. But I think that's you, because, I mean, you lead by example. You're there all the time. You're welcoming. Just make it fun. The women's class is fun. And so I really feel like a lot of that comes from you and the community you've created in that group, right? And we have had, like I said, the consistency of some of the women. So, like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Avery, though, for, like, trusting me with it and then also giving us a space on the mat. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but it tends to be, like, it's like trend now. Everybody's doing women's only classes left and right.
Yeah.
And he could have very well used that mat time for another class, for paying members.
Yeah.
And so there is a path at our gym for people that want to train for free, whether that's open mats, going to the women's class, again, being mindful of other people's backgrounds and having awareness that they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And so for him to be so forward thinking and compassionate, to say, no, I'm going to make this free and I'm going to give up this mat to allow this community of ladies to come together, I think speaks volume to not only our gym, but to him as a person.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that about open mat being like another free moment.
I mean, free wrestling.
Yeah.
Free open mats, multiple open mats.
Yeah.
Right? You have the women's class, and our members are showing up and taking time away to train. We have a black belt, just show up. And there's so many people honestly dedicated to growth.
Yeah.
Just good, honest humans in our gym that will step away from their own training to help you.
Yes.
And I don't know if that exists everywhere, to have people so willing to give back, so happy to meet you at an open mat, to work with you and almost refuse any type of like, I don't want your money. I don't want that. I just want you to get better.
Yeah.
And they mean it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's what I even try to be like the welcoming committee when I see a woman come in, because I also know how I would feel. I mean, women can be catty, and especially when you show up in it's scary at 1st and intimidating when you show up in a male dominated place,
Right.
most of the time. Right. And then the few women that may be there, it might be hard to approach them, especially if they already have a circle or they have their group. So I don't feel that at Triumph. I feel like we're very inviting. But I do feel like it's very telling of the gym culture that we have. The women that we have, the men that we have are just so willing to step aside and be like, hey, I can show you a few things. It's your first time here. And you're one of those people. Like, you were that for me.
Yep.
I remember Sam was that for me. Mia was that for me. Steph, like you, when I first started, you ladies were the same thing for me. But I think it's really important too to ask questions too, because those people are willing to teach. And if you're willing to learn and show up and ask questions, they're going to be there and help you. So I think, especially at Triumph, if you're new to Triumph or, I mean, any jiu-jitsu gym, I hope that there's a community there that you can ask questions of and learn from them, because, I mean.
But on the same token, so it is easy, because I do hear people, it's like, oh, there's cliques, right? And even in any, and I have a lot of guy friends, and so I don't have too many situations in my personal life to where I'm like around a large group of women. But cliques are not always intentional. Yeah. Right? You get very comfortable with your training partner.
You do.
Brooklyn is by far my favorite training partner. I work with Brooklyn a lot. It's just her speed. Her speed, she's young, I'm not. So I like to work with her because she challenges me. So even I have to be mindful sometimes that comfort is not, it could be misread, right? If I walk in and I just go straight to Brooklyn and I'm warming up, that could be perceived as being cliquish, and that's not my intention.
Right.
But it is something that, for those that are listening, I would challenge them to be a little bit more open-minded. Mix it up. There's nothing wrong with mixing it up. Yeah. And call me out, because I know I'm going to walk in next week. I'm going to go straight to Brooklyn, and I'm not going to think
I don't
about
get her first.
This. Yeah, right.
And Stephanie too. She's like, Brooklyn's my girl. Don't try to take
we're
her.
all arguing
like,
over
so
Brooklyn.
Funny.
Call me out. Hey, Brittney, I haven't been your partner in a while. You need to work with me. I don't take that personal at all.
You're good about challenging us girls in the women's class. You did it just Wednesday. You were like, to me and Amber, you're like, I need you two to go with some new people. And I am happy to do so. Like, but again, you're saying,
most are.
We tend to gravitate towards what we're comfortable with. And so that's usually why I do it. Again, not intentional. It's just that, we all have comfort levels. And
everybody does that. The guys do it too, but it's one of those things that I really don't think you can grow where you're comfortable. Yeah. And so go with someone new. Yeah. Go with one of the guys every now and again. Yeah. Really be challenged. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Yeah. Right. And that's a big ask. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying, I'm going to have a different training partner next week. I repeat, I am not saying that I'm going to have a different training partner every day next week. But I do think it's an honest goal, just to make sure we're being mindful that you have a lot to offer. Yeah. And kind of spread that out a little bit.
Yeah. And I think I've heard Avery even say too, like when you're going with, let's say, like if you're going with a white belt and you're an upper belt, that's when you have opportunity to not only teach, but also work some of your game that you don't maybe always get the opportunity to work with someone who's at the same level or even higher than you. So that's where I need to be more comfortable with like trying the new things, because I tend to just do the same game, but I know more than what I actually show, but like I don't always do it, because if I'm going with the regular girls, the ones that are always there, I'm always afraid I'm opening myself up to be demolished. But
that's okay though. There's a beauty in that, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you constantly go with the same people, you start to learn their game, right? And so in a way, and I am a little lazy, so I can cheat with certain people.
Yeah.
I kind of know what you want to do. I know all of your favorite submissions, but I'm not growing, right? I really just figured out how to roll with one person. The growth happens when you roll with that white belt.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit spazzy.
Right.
And it's like, does my sweeps really work?
Yeah.
Let's test it.
Because the spaz is like challenging in its own right.
Yep.
Right? Like that's when you have to really, like I tell them, I still sometimes feel like, am I being too spastic right now? But I mean, when you're going with a white belt and they're like that and they're just coming out the gate trying to survive, right? Like that's when you really have to just slow down and just say, I know my game. I know what I need to do. And
I learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from them. I learn a lot from the kids.
Oh my goodness, the kids.
Yes, all of their armbar techniques are flawless. Yeah. So yeah, you learn from everyone. Everyone has something to offer. When it comes to learning from someone, belts mean nothing. Yeah. And so roll with other people. See what you can learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you said belts mean nothing. Because sometimes it's true. Like, especially with some of the newer people coming in and you see how fast they are, how quickly they pick something up. It's like, that can be a little intimidating because I feel like I'm a slower processor when it comes to jiu-jitsu too, because there's so many moves and so many, and they all have different names and some are in Japanese and some are like, and I'm like, I can't remember all of that. So many small little moves. So that's important that you said that. Let's talk about belts. So you just got purple, not just, it's going to be a year in July already.
It's crazy.
How do you feel about that?
That's insane.
That was an emotional moment for real. It was so cool to see that happen. You're the first female in our gym, right? To get purple. That's huge, Brittney. Oh my goodness.
It's a big deal, and I didn't know it was going to happen. To this day, me and Avery really have not talked about this. But he could have gave me a heads up. So I did not know.
We should have known because Ashley was there. Sorry. Ashley was there and she was recording. We should have known.
I know, but Ashley sometimes pops up. And so I just thought it was Ashley being Ashley. I didn't even think about it. But extremely grateful, but still fear in that. Yeah. There's a lot of fear that come with promotions. Yeah. Sometimes belts come with expectations. Yeah. Maybe not even expectations that Avery has, right? Expectations that I started to instantly put on myself. Yeah. And I do need to compete at purple. I have not competed at purple yet.
Can you explain about those expectations and then maybe even the competition piece? Because like for someone that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, what does that mean? What are expectations that come with like a new promotion?
And none of this is official, right? Yeah. This is nothing that Avery said, because you're a purple, now I expect this, right? But for me, it was more so I should be able to lead out front. A blue belt, any belt, somebody should be able to come to me and I should have enough knowledge to explain a position. I should be able to coach you in any situation, right? And if I'm being transparent, because let's just be honest, I didn't know if I had that yet. Now, I'm not sure what Avery saw in me or did not see in me at the time. But the second that the belt was heavy, I instantly thought, okay, Brittney, you have to step up. You have to step up. How can you be better? We got to complain less and figure out more. And so that was the weight that I felt with the purple belt. And I hope I'm making Avery proud. But now I have to prove it to myself. And I think a competition is going to be that, right? Yeah. It's going to be for me. Like I need to know that I'm at this level. And so hopefully soon. Timeline? I never have a timeline. I never have a timeline.
What does soon look like?
This year? This year.
Did you see ADCCs coming in December?
I saw that. That would be fun. That would be fun. And it's not even about winning or losing. It's for me, it's like, Brittney, can you get on the mat? Yeah. Because I can give you 100 reasons why I don't need to compete, right? Oh, family, and I work a full-time job, and I need to be present for the people that are competing, and I have all the excuses in the world. But none of them are factual. None of it is valid. I need to make it a priority and just stick to it.
It is ultimately for you, right? Yeah. When you do compete, but I will going back to what you initially said about never wanting to let your mom down or never
Yep.
wanting to disappoint people. And I feel like part of that with jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
when I go into a tournament, I know it's ultimately for me to prove where I'm at, to see how I hold up against someone else,
Yep.
similar age, similar belt, weight, whatever. But there's a part of me, I don't want to let Avery down. I don't want to let the team down. I don't want to let Kevin down. Like, I know he's so good at competing. And I'm like, his win-loss record, I mean, he's so good. And then there's mine. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, loss.
You have a whole family, though.
So I know. So it's kind of like, I get that. And it's almost like you put a pressure on yourself to not let others down that are on your team, even though it's an individual sport, really, kind of,
It is.
right?
And of course, I don't want to let the ladies down, right? I love you, Avery. Not as concerned. I would be more concerned. I'm more concerned with letting the ladies down. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Our group of women are so phenomenal. I mean, gold everywhere. I mean,
I know.
sometimes I feel the competition is just rolling with the people at the gym.
Yeah.
But I don't want to let them down. But I do need to do it for myself. I need to do it for myself. I know it's for the team. I know the points matter for the team. But I need to prove this to Brittney
Okay, she's putting it out there, guys. We're gonna hold her to it.
this year.
I need to compete again too. Kevin
Okay.
wants me to work towards pans, so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
I say him, but I do too. I
Yeah.
need to be a little more frequent, I think, with my competing as well, because I think that's where you really prove to yourself what you know and what you can do. And how long ago has it been since you've competed?
A year,
Okay,
maybe more.
maybe more.
Because I took some time off when Eden was born, and so she just turned 2. So it might be 2 years.
Yeah, because I feel like
Might be 2 years.
But it could be I wasn't at that tournament, but I don't know that I've seen.
Probably been
you
2
compete.
years. Yep.
Okay. And how
Now
did
you
it
just
go?
up the pressure. You
I
just
know.
up the
Sorry.
pressure.
How did that go?
Didn't go well.
Whatever. I'm sure it was great. I have never seen someone so calm under pressure. Can I just say this?
really?
This must be military training.
It's
You were
all
like-
an illusion.
I will watch you and you're in a roll. You'll be in a choke. Someone has you in a choke and you'll just be like calm as a cucumber.
illusion.
Sometimes I've seen you chewing gum. I'm like, how is she chewing gum right now?
I'm a ball of nerves, actually.
really?
I'm a ball of nerves, but it's all mental, right? It's really whatever you choose to tell yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
So it's all a facade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Fake
you
it
need
till
to
I make
teach.
it.
You need to teach me that because, I'm a ball of nerves. You did say something else, and I know we've been on this jujitsu kick for a minute, so we can gravitate
worries.
away from it. But like, I did want to say, you mentioned early on, like when Triumph first started, it was more gi based. So that was about 2 years. You said. Do you favor gi or no gi?
I do love my pajamas. I do. I love gi.
Yeah.
I like gi. I like the grips. Honestly, I can hide a little bit better in a gi.
Okay.
I feel like in no gi, it is what it is. It's slippery.
Yeah.
I can't really hide. The grips are not there. I can't hold on as much.
True.
But yeah, I really like gi.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, gi is better.
That's interesting you say that because the grips are the very thing that sometimes infuriate me because then sometimes it is impossible it seems impossible to get out of the grips, right? Like when people have that. And that's why I think I'm more partial to no-gi. I like no-gi. It's lightweight. It's fast. It's airy.
Yeah, it is. And I struggle to, which is funny because sometimes I show up for gi classes in no gi because I'm just don't feel like putting the gi on.
Yeah.
But once the gi is on, yeah, that's like my cape. Then I can start working my superpower at that point. Put on your armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite move? Like what are your types of favorite moves? You said no foot stuff, but
No,
like
I
are
like
you more
chokes.
Yeah, I know
I love
that. I already
chokes.
knew that about you.
I love chokes.
Yeah,
Rear
she
naked
does.
choke over everything. Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome.
So
Okay. Well,
I'm starting to work triangles and arm bars, and you're like, you're just now starting to work that? And it's like, yes, because if you kind of think about it, when you're rolling with men predominantly, what's the chances of me hitting a triangle on Kevin? Like,
yeah, right?
but I might can get lucky and isolate a neck and try to set up a choke, especially when you have the gi, right? And so I think that kind of evolved based off of who I was training with.
Yeah.
But now I'm circling back to some of the fundamentals to see if I can grow that game a little bit more.
So are you more a bottom player or
I
top?
am.
Okay.
I am.
Would you pull guard? Do you pull guard?
I don't pull
You don't
guard.
pull guard. You do takedowns.
I do takedowns.
Yeah, I know
I do
you do.
takedowns. Again, it doesn't match, but if you really think about it, if I do take a guy down, if they're stronger, I just end up on my back.
Bottom anyway. So yeah.
So
I've been trying to be more comfortable with being on the bottom, and because those are the most uncomfortable situations, right? So I try to start down to see if I can get to the top or submit from the bottom. But yeah, I know that's you got to.
Now,
be
if I can get on
comfortable.
top and stay on top, ideal, right? Get in and out. But I think I just had to get, like I said, I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
And I was just always stuck on bottom.
Yeah.
So I just really had to get better at it.
Yeah, especially if you were training with those guys in the beginning, right? All right. And then I did have a question in regard to like going back to the women, right?
Yep.
What advice would you give to not only just women though, but what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in jiu-jitsu? Because it can be, again, I've said, very intimidating. What's your advice to someone who's just starting out?
Show up. Keep showing up. And I know that's hard to say. It's really a journey. And the only difference between me as a purple belt and the white belt that just walked in is that I just kept showing up.
Yeah.
Right? I just kept coming day in and day out. And it's very easy to make an excuse as to why you don't want to train. Tired, I'm hungry, whatever the case may be, right? So continue to show up.
Okay.
Continue to show up.
Nice. All right, let's move on from jiu-jitsu. I'm sure it'll come up again. So we've talked a little bit about the advice you would give someone. We've talked a little bit about kind of what has driven you to do your best. I mean, I haven't flat out asked that question, but I feel like you kind of hit on it when you were talking about your childhood. Is there anything else you'd want to add? What are some of the things that drive you to do your best, whether it's work or jiu-jitsu, besides what you've already mentioned? Is there anything else that kind of pushes you to do that?
Fear of failure.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I really want to succeed. I don't want to let anybody down. And so I don't think the answer changes. Maybe the answer really just does apply in every aspect of my life, even motherhood.
Yep.
Right? I don't want to fail my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to fail the women's group. I don't want to fail in marriage. I don't want to fail in work, in my career. That drives me. Maybe more than what it should, but it is something that has been a constant that I want to make those around me proud.
Yeah. Do you think, I hear so much that, failure, you win or you learn, right? But failure is a really good thing, right?
It is.
For driving
It is.
knowledge and learning from it, right? Do you want to speak about that at all? Like, as far as failure? I mean, do you feel like you've ever failed that would cause you to be afraid of it? Or is it because things do go so well in life for you, like maybe it comes easier naturally, or maybe you just know you have the strong work ethic from your childhood that you have that idea of failure?
Failure is inevitable. More so for me, how it has shown up is where you have a plan
And it doesn't go that
and
way.
it doesn't go that way. And so you experience that in every season of your life, right? So my childhood, maybe you would think, oh, I'm going to have, and my dad he was a great guy, right? Great father figure. 100%. This is going to be the guy that's going to teach me all these things. We love sports, and so I had to learn that from somebody else. And so in a way, I internalized that as a failure. To go to College of Charleston and want to be an orthodontist and walk away with corporate comm major. Did it work out? Yes. But in that season, to me, that was a failure. Even some aspects of the Army. And I loved being in the Army. But I would have went a lot further in the Army if I didn't get hurt. And so for me, that was, again, another failure in that moment. In hindsight, it was meant to be. We still know that I am God, and it all worked out. And I'm constantly in prayer that my failures don't define me.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed and fortunate in that way. But I still feel like it's all trauma and prayers is what's fueling me.
Yeah.
So yeah, failure is constant. But I do hope that I am a pitcher for resiliency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how other people have these preconceived notions? They might be on the outside looking in
Yeah.
and they see someone and they're like, well, her life's all, roses.
Yep.
It's like wonderful. And we all know that's not true, right? Like everyone has their own trauma, their
Yep.
own issues that they're dealing with, maybe their own, inside demons that they struggle with. And it's interesting how like we all perceive that and then, internalize it a different way too. Right. But yeah, I mean, I get that, the failure piece, that really, I struggle with that. I think some of that with me is that I worry so much about what other people think. And sometimes that also can make me crazy because I realize like, that's impossible. I can never meet the expectations of other people. In fact, I think I was saying in the car this morning, I'm like, I cannot meet everyone's expectations. Like everyone, I feel like sometimes people want so much from you, whether it's your time,
Yep.
You to do something for them, even just to hang out. Sometimes
Overwhelming.
making an appointment with someone, I'm like, I just can't handle another thing right now. And
Yep.
it's a lot. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it can just be overwhelming. And I think sometimes we have to just take a step back and understand that everyone's dealing with their own kind of hard, their
Yep.
own kind of life, their own difficulty. And we just need to have grace for everyone and empathy, like you were saying, right?
Yes, grace is huge. Yeah. Grace is very huge. But also when you were speaking about just the pressure of showing up for everyone and kind of being mindful of not wanting to disappoint people or caring what people think. I don't necessarily care what people think. I care deeply what my core people think.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me. Yeah. So I don't want to disappoint my core. And that will always be a struggle. Like, man, it's only one me. All I have is 100%, but maybe I'm only giving 30% to the women at the gym. And sometimes your marriage gets 10% and the kids you want to give the kids the biggest piece, but maybe that goes to your career because I need to work to provide, to get you the ridiculous amount of toys that you don't need and all the clothes that you outgrow in 60 days. So yeah, that will consume me. Strangers, people on the street, telling people no, I can't hang with them. I'm really good at that.
Teach me your ways.
Yes, I'll help you.
I need to be at this. I need to go there. I don't want to let them down. Oh my goodness.
No is a complete sentence. No.
Write that down.
Yes. But my core, I do worry if I'm showing up enough for them. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to how I started, this premise of this podcast was success and strength, right?
Yep.
Like women that embody those two characteristics. So I know success looks different for everyone, as does strength. So can you hit on both of those, success and strength? What do those two things mean to you?
So strength to me, in all honesty, for me, it's kind of like the opposite. Strength to me means your ability to let go. And success to me means peace, whether that's a peaceful household, peaceful kids, peaceful marriage, peace day to day, to me would be success, right? When the calm of the world is louder than the chaos, that's success, right? I don't want to quantify it by a number, or I competed 4 times, or if I can go to bed at peace with what I gave the world and I'm happy and I feel like I've done the most I could do, that's the win. Yeah. I did all I could. I gave the absolute best that Brittney had. But the strength in that is also letting go, letting others step up in areas that I'm not strong. That's strength, right? That's the most powerful leader, would be a leader to say, I need to step back and let you lead. Yeah. I need to empower those around me. Yeah. So I think that's how I view it. Maybe a little unorthodox, but But if you're not constantly seeking quiet, and if you're a leader and you're not empowering, I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I think that is something I have to learn too with leadership, because I try to just do it all myself. But I do know, like, a true leader empowers other people, right? Like, I teach that, actually. It's one of the characteristics of leadership. We teach kids, like, empowering the people around you using their strengths, because that's what really makes a good team. And then ultimately that's how you're successful, right?
Exactly.
So, and you do that. You do that in women's jiu-jitsu, right? So I like that. You said that. What is a daily habit or ritual, or maybe even a person? What is it? What's the it that grounds you and maybe helps you when you're going through a struggle or a challenge, or what is your go-to?
It might be a bit cliche, but prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer. Great. I feel like I'm in constant prayer. Good. Morning prayer, afternoon prayer, sending kids off to school.
Yes.
I am in constant conversation
Good.
in prayer. Something light, if it's not, prayer, you, of course, tea and TV and all these other things that keeps me grounded. That don't necessarily matter, that maybe I supplement to maybe calm my brain. But the answer is prayer. The answer is always prayer.
Yeah, I love that. Oof, that's good. All right. We hit on the strong and successful, daily habit, prayer. Getting close to the end. Oh, okay. So let's hit on you, since you touched on prayer. One of the things you said in your bio is volunteering and giving back to your community. And I know you kind of started working with your church too as well. So just speak a little bit about how that opportunity for the ministry at your church started.
So during the pandemic, everybody, of course, had to adapt and kind of go to some sort of virtual setting. Church. And so I am from a small church back in Spartanburg, and the church is a bit older, and they needed help with setting up a technology ministry. And so I was able to step in and help them figure out Zoom and PowerPoint, all the things that kids today probably laugh at and think, how did they not know how to operate this computer? But everybody was figuring it out at that time. And so we were able to stand that up and continue church and continue the ministry and weekly Bible study. And we still do it virtually. Awesome. So I still help out as much as I can. I wish I could do more, but I'm not physically there. But if they need me to run Bible study, you see me plenty of times on Wednesdays run out. And so I need to run Bible study for the church. That's important. Giving back is important. I believe that God gives you certain tools and abilities to go out and be fruitful and to help those around you in any way that you can. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It can be your time. It could be your talents. It could be your voice. All of these things can help people. I just think we need to tap in to see what gift maybe we have.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see us women do like I know they've done different jiu-jitsu events, like donuts and dollars, or different things like that, right? And I would love to see us do like Jesus in jiu-jitsu. Stephanie and I have talked about this, right? Like,
I would love that.
Or even if it's not that, like even like a women's Bible study type thing that surrounds. Because I've done Bible studies with other women before, but kind of even surrounding our jiu-jitsu girls too, because that's another group of women that I think could even benefit from that. And I think a lot of us also have
even
those
something
same
as
beliefs.
Simple as just like a prayer circle, right? Just a way to touch base, to say, hey, I'm going into my final week of school. Guys, I'm really going to miss this group. Keep me in your prayers. Or we have our group chat. I love our women's group chat. I wish I was more involved in it. But sometimes people say like, hey, I couldn't make it to the gym because whatever's going on at work, or hey, I lost my job. I would love to be more intentional with those conversations, just to say, hey, I thought about you. I prayed for you. I love you. And if you need me, I'm here. Just that simple. Just that simple. I think we do it, but maybe not so direct, right? I read it and I think, oh man, I hate that for her. Let me say a prayer for this person. I think it would be nice if they knew we were praying for them.
Yeah. I mean, we'd be unstoppable.
We would.
Oh my goodness. Our jiu-jitsu is going to be on point. Awesome. Well, do you have, before we kind of finish up, I think we're nearing the end.
Okay.
If there's anything pressing you want to hit on, feel free to speak up. But is there any goal that you're maybe working towards this year? I know you mentioned maybe looking at competing.
Yep.
Anything work-wise? I mean, that's still the same. Like,
work is work. Work is work. It's a way to pay the bills and have fun. I think the one thing that I will continue to plug is just that we do have an open space every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Come train.
Yeah.
Come train. That's going to be something that I think we can grow. I would love to be so big that Avery has to find more space for us.
Right.
And so if we can make that a goal for the rest of the year, I would love to see how many women we can get to show up. Like, what can be the largest class we can achieve? That's my goal this year. Can we get 30 women on the mat?
Yeah.
Can we get 40 women on the mat?
Yep.
So let's find that number, and that's the goal that I would like to make.
I love that. I've even heard some women say something about, like, if we could add another women's class. I thought that was interesting.
I know. My response to that would be come to open mat, right? We do have open mat. And if they're willing to show up for open mat, if 5 of us say, hey, ladies, we're going to all go to open mat, I am more than willing to come.
Yeah.
If you want to drill, if you want to learn something new, again, hold me accountable. Hey, Brittney, you said you would help us at open mat. Where are you? And I will show up.
That's good to know. I don't typically do open mat. I've done a random, like, here and there, or I'll do seminars. But typically, because Saturdays are just so jam-packed with sports and other things. But if I knew there was, like, a group of women that were going, I'd maybe more likely be to show up. But yeah, that's good to know. Awesome. Well, is there anything else before we close out today?
I cannot think of anything else, but I'm really happy, and thank you for having me.
I've loved chatting with you and getting to know you on a deeper level.
I know.
I know we didn't hit on some of the fun things, like the shoes and the clothes and the football and all those other things, but Roll Tide. If you know, you know. Brittney loves watching Alabama.
I'm sure Amber just rolled her eyes.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Sure. Well, I will close this out here, but thanks, girl, for coming. I appreciate you. If you would like to support what we are doing here at Gunz and Bunz, please check out our new merchandise at gunzandrolls.com. And finally, I would love to invite you to share this podcast with someone you know, and also like and subscribe to Gunz and Rollz to see more Gunz and Bunz episodes like this one. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time, girls.
Sound good. Bye.
Strength in her stance, fire in her flow, handles the grind, still steals the show. On and off the mat, she's got the spark, beauty and power, lighting up the dark. She's rolling deep, she's reaching high, breaking the rules, rewriting the sky. Guns in square, queens collide, strong women rising side by side. Locks and laps with heart and heat, success in the ring and in the street. It's Gunz and Bunz, now press play. This is her time, this is her day. Welcome to Gunz and Bunz, strong, fearless, unstoppable. Let's roll. Welcome to Gunz and Bunz, strong, fearless, unstoppable. Let's roll. On and off the mat, she's got the spark, beauty and power, lighting up the dark. She's rolling deep, Welcome to Gunz.